was trying to catch up, but you screwed it up.
How did I screw it up?
Because you started it too early.
You told me to start it.
No, I told you to start it when the sound was done.
So you said it takes a few seconds.
With the nightcap. You ruined it. Just admit it.
I didn't do anything but hit a damn button.
Yeah. How you doing, Jeremy? Search. Here's the nightcap that's out of sync because of Gerald Glassford. Yeah.
You, Joe. Calling you number one.
I am number one.
So your Dodgers were able to pull it off. Roberts, would you like what he did doing the reliever thing as opposed to the Padres, who brought in one of their not so fresh starters?
He really didn't have a choice. I think what was great about tonight was his absolute domination in how he handled every single decision. The players have to execute, obviously, but I thought how he handled the decision-making on whom, where, and why. There were a couple of scary moments with Manny and Tatis, but part of baseball is at some point you got to pitch it down the middle, and you got to sometimes cross your fingers and hope that it works out. There were two balls that were hit. One was by Manny. The other was by Tatis. Both looked like they were out, especially Manny's, and that would have taken if he had hit that home run, it would have taken the game from 5-3. I don't know necessarily if that would have changed the outcome. It definitely would have made you sweat a little more. We were still sweating as a fan base, even when they were up 5. It wasn't until they got that run on the bunt that made me finally kind of relax. And the play that actually I felt a seismic shift in my physiology was the bounced ball off the ump that ended up costing the Dodgers a run. It would have obviously gone all the way to the left side of the field because Manny had tipped the ball, but then as the ump was trying to say fair, it hit his arm, came back to Manny, and then was able to get Shohei out at the plate. That play right there for about 30 seconds, I felt gamma rays. I thought I was going to turn into the Hulk. I was so pissed off, and because that's pretty much how this stuff has been going with these guys. These triple plays. Manny running on the grass and blocking the double play. I thought, in terms of, and this is going to be interesting to say, I haven't called Dave Roberts Doc in a very long time. He earned the name Doc today back. I called him Doc. This was by far the best managed game I've ever seen him manage. And it wasn't just how he wrangled the pitching staff throughout a 9-inning process. It was whom he put in and how he decided. And the fact that he actually was angry after that Shohei thing, that was just something. I think something snapped in Dave Roberts, I think in the last few days that I hadn't seen really ever. And while everything can be a defining moment in sports, because I've been watching Doc managed for 9 years. He's made a lot of bad mistakes, but he can make up for a little bit of this should they win on Friday. And they're going to face another team that's like a gnat. You have to almost really put a stake in their heart to kill them. That's the New York Mets. But I still feel that the San Diego team is the one that has their type of team is the kind of team that always ends up costing the Dodgers a run or a title. The Mets sort of have it, but I also think that there's going to be a mental edge with the Dodgers. If they get past the Padres, I think there's going to be an infusion of confidence that hasn't been there since probably 2020. And if that can happen and they end up beating, let's say they beat the Padres on Friday, huge boost at home. It's been a while since the Dodgers have won a home game in a close series. They keep losing these games at home. The last and of course we all know what happened in 2020. They were playing at Texas Stadium. They were, or I'm sorry, Arlington. So we never got a chance to see them win in front of their fans. But the last time I think they won a series that was close like this, I think was 2000. Was it 2016? I have to go left to look back because the series they beat San Francisco in, they were in San Francisco. They haven't been winning these clinching games at home lately, which has been frustrating. But this would be nice. It would be nice to get that win on Friday, beating, in my opinion, really the two best teams in the NL and the East, or I should say the AL. You have the Yankees that came through today. Giancarlo Stanton, geez, that guy's been maligned for what, 5-6 years now, and I didn't expect him to do what he did today, and he really boosted the Yankees, and they end up beating the Royals. I'm predicting you're going to see a Yankee Detroit ALCS, and I think that the Yankees can get past Detroit, and then if the Dodgers can beat San Diego and somehow find their way to get out of that last inning just barrage that the Mets seem to always produce, which is really, they're almost kind of the same as San Diego in a lot of ways. But I think because the Dodgers are familiar with San Diego and there's a lot more of a rivalry there, I think once they get past, if they can get past them, I think the Mets thing's going to be kind of, well, we've already been kind of trained to play these guys. Let's work off this a little bit more and then, take it home, try to win it in hopefully 6. So yeah, it was again. Salute to Doc. Salute to Muncy and Betts and Shohei and to put a button on this. Shohei did hit a home run in Game 1, and he's been comparable the last 3 games. But Shohei is due a big game.
Well, Mookie's been the one that was much maligned, Joe, and has really provided the spark to start the past 2 games.
I've been talking to Empire Jeff for a good week now. I mean, I think I've texted him more than I've texted anybody this week, and well, except for the guys I work with. We get caught up in kind of delusion, I think. And I think losing will do that. That's why losing is so detrimental to your mental capacity, at least for me. A lot of people don't care. The older they get, they don't care as much. They don't care about sports. They don't care about this. They don't care about that. And then what I find out is those who grow up and don't have any vested interest in anything other than their kind of mundane, redundant life. This is why we watch sport, or this is why I watch sports. I have a competitive knack or tick that I need fulfilled. I can't get rid of it. And I live through that competition through my teams. I don't have the luxury of playing a sport right now where I can maybe get those competitive juices going. I guess I can go play pickleball or play golf, but my brain always ventures into it's just recreational. It doesn't really mean anything. So this is the closest thing I can go to at the highest level. I'm always about the highest level. That's why I'm not really invested so much other than as a sports guy in amateur sports, high school or college. I mean, I watched the best college game in my life this last year at the Rose Bowl by far. Probably the second best sporting. Well, I say 3. I got to say 3 because Kobe's was 2 when he was playing Tracy McGrady in that 04 game where he shut him down in the 4th. The first one will always be until the end of time, likely. unless I go to a Steelers Super Bowl and they win or something like on a field goal. But the Roy Jones Jr. Antonio Tarver 2 fight in 2004. That was the same day the Lakers played Game 6 against the Spurs and ended up beating the Spurs to go and face Minnesota for the Western Conference Finals. And for those of you who don't remember, at that time, whoever won that the Spurs-Lakers series was going to win the championship. And I was fully set that the Lakers were about to win another championship, win 4 out of 5. But that night, I had been to boxing before, but nothing of that stature. And to listen to a man punch someone, hear the punch, and then hear the fall, and to have approximately 20,000 people all stand up and say the same word and almost literally feel the stadium shake at the same time. Roy obviously didn't get up. The match was over that moment. That was at the time when Roy was God. He was. Some said he should have lost the first fight, but a lot of times that happens in sports. These guys are trained fighters. Things happen. But that was the end of Roy Jones's reign as probably the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, and he had that arguably for a good decade. I don't know too many people that have been able to do that other than maybe Joe Louis. Even the greatest, like Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes, even those guys had, stints that didn't extend to 10. But Roy Jones Jr., I don't think anybody would argue was probably best pound for pound for a decade. So seeing him get punched and knocked out, and to feel the just the absolute roar with the people in that room, in that arena, I think forever will impact me in terms of a sporting event. But going back to the Dodgers, winning calms you down. You're not as emotional, I guess. You are emotional, but in a positive way. You're able to think. You're able to thank. You're able to support.
Yay!
Whereas when you see people screw up, you're more venom.
Thank you for subscribing. Truly appreciate it. Sorry. I always love that.
Yeah.
Subscriber.
What happened to the sound? Usually I hear the sound.
I heard it.
That's because I'm linked on the outside. I'm not inside. That's
Yay! A subscriber. I'll replay it for you there.
Yeah, don't replay it. If it's
That's okay. I don't mind.
Okay. So for those of you who are confused, you all know it's the Lakers Fast Break. However, this is the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap with your host, Joe Soro, and the co-pilot, Gerald Glassford. This was an LA sports.
He said a lot worse about me, so I'll take co-pilot.
Yeah, this was an LA sports moment in my favorite city of all time, which is San Diego. It was a very, very, and I've been to dozens and dozens of games at Petco Park, Dodger games or not, mainly Dodger games, of course. And I've seen games like that in the regular season. I know the Dodgers haven't played the Padres a lot in the playoffs, but at the same time, I don't remember. I can't remember. Again, 2020 screwed so many things up because we did see some amazing games in that run, but they were all in one spot. But I can't remember the complete domination on the road against a absolute juggernaut, like I saw tonight. I can't remember this kind of domination. And this is the kind of domination I keep thinking about at the beginning of every series. Every series. And the pitching and all this and all that. Doc did something tonight that isn't conventional. A bullpen game is usually not done in the playoffs. And the Padres went with a 3-day rest Cease, and really they've hammered Cease in both games. He's had no shot. And the irony in that is they had a chance to get Cease, and they probably could have used him. So whether that ends up biting him in the butt or not, we don't know. At this point, they haven't because they've been able to get to him. The only issue is it was a decision between him and Flattery, or maybe even to some degree Glasnow. But baseball right now is at this point where I think the advantage is to the team that scores first. My only worry about Game 5 right now is getting out of the top of the first without allowing a score, because that seems to be what ends up winning you the games. That's what I'm going to be focused on, the first inning. And they interviewed Doc just not too long ago, and they asked who's the starter in Game 5. He hasn't made up his decision yet. He's going to probably make a decision tomorrow. Yamamoto struggles against the Padres, and he always struggles in the first innings. So I wouldn't put it past Doc to possibly do a bullpen game while inserting starters in and around wherever he needs it.
He can't play Kershaw. Kershaw's not on the roster.
No, Kershaw's done for the year.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done. His toe has not healed, and he will not be back.
Okay. Nowhere near the pitching out.
Yeah. Glasnow's out. Kershaw's out. They're not.
Freeman, I mean, can he even DH?
Well, no, you can't, because you're already playing Shohei at DH. Shohei doesn't play the field. And I'm glad you brought that up. So making the decision to not play Freeman was something that they had to do anyways. He just wasn't good. And one of the good omens today was Muncy's play at first on a hard liner, or one hop liner, and he ate it. He ate it up. When I saw that, I was going, wow, I don't know if Freeman would have been able to do that one.
Bloodhound's asking you if you think the pitching staff will hold up. Both bullpens were utilized quite frequently. Just because they threw in a tired starter there to start the game doesn't mean, as if you look at the box score, they used quite a bit of pitchers themselves in San Diego.
Well, Flattery didn't pitch bad when he pitched, and Buehler got screwed by his defense. If they had just did the smart plays, the one that was on Freddie unfortunately was not necessarily his fault either. I think Manny just made an incredible decision at the last second to be in front of the ball, and it was what it was. What they could have done on the next DP chance was, in Rojas being injured, not playing him was also a smart move today by Doc. If Rojas just gives the second baseman the ball, they at least get that out at second, even if they don't get the full double play, and they don't score 6 runs in that inning. Maybe they score 2 or 3, and that would have been completely different, because the Dodgers ended up scoring 5 runs with Teo hitting a grand slam right after that. You get that slam at that point. You're up 5-3. No one else hit after that, and you probably win the game. And the Dodgers right now are going home. And I had a really interesting feeling after Game 2, where it was that whole back to the wall cliche BS. I said, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't sound. I'm not feeling that these guys are going to lay down, even if they come back 1-1 out of that San Diego run. I think it's a win, because you go in there, and doing it in Game 4 was even more impressive, because the pressure was there. San Diego just needed one spark, and it would have avalanched, and they shut it down. I mean, perfect. There were only really 2 scary balls that entire game. That's it. And even if they had hit those, it probably would not have. You don't really know if it would have really changed the outcome of the win. You never know, which made it even more impressive, because the Dodgers were already at 5-0 when Manny almost hit a 3-run homer. You're still up 2 runs, and you almost expect the Padres to make a run. So I don't know if it would have affected the Dodgers as much. And the reason why I feel that is because those 2 plays that should have benefited in runs, the one with Otani's I'm sorry, the one with Teo's what would have been a double, hitting the ump and then getting Otani out. I was so hot after that. It took me seriously a while to come down. I was so angry, but they went 1, 2, 3 in the next inning. It didn't even affect them. I think that was great because a lot of times in baseball, that kind of play can jack you. Just ask Moises Alou. If Moises Alou doesn't react the way he did when Steve Bartman caught that ball, Cubs win that series. Got to be careful in baseball.
Chase says, "You Darvish, aka you Garbage, career numbers versus Dodgers are very impressive with a 2.27 ERA. Dodgers need to get to you early and atone for his 2017 World Series Game 7 performance. He'll be pitching on 4 days of rest only. Go Dodgers."
Unfortunately, nothing will atone to 2017, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that that series should have never went 7. That series would have been done in 5 had they not played a bunch of sackless cheaters. And the fact that they still are recognized as champions that year is a disgrace, and it set the tone for what has happened to the Dodgers the last 7 years. We've been unruly, inconsiderate, and really, I think about that sometimes where if that had just gone normal and we end up winning in 2017, maybe it's completely different. It's just like Frank Selby hitting that shot in the 1962 finals. How different would the Lakers-Celtics rivalry be if Frank Selby hits that wide-open mid-range shot to win the championship? And that's right there, folks, the heartbreaking part of sports. But then you fast forward and you see Vlade Divac trying to seal a game that would have won them likely the championship. Volleyball's a ball right to the worst guy you can give it to on chance on the planet at that time. And he hits a game-winning shot, guaranteeing at that point that the Lakers were going to three-peat. Well, they didn't guarantee at that time, but now looking at it, it guaranteed a three-peat.
So Friday, your eyes will be fixed upon Chavez Ravine. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that. Hopefully Friday night, we could do something late night on a nightcap. But the Lakers and a grumbling LeBron James are headed to Milwaukee. He was pissed if you saw his social media today, complaining about having to go to Milwaukee, not understanding that the Lakers are doing some work, I think, on, I guess, Crypto.com Arena right now. They're doing some renovations that are not done quite yet. So the Kings and the Lakers have been kicked out for the time being. They were talking about, I guess, Dave McBedman in his tweets was talking about how the Lakers have been on the road. Is Palm Springs really that much of a road game? Come on, seriously. It's Palm Springs, for God's sakes. It's not that far away from LA. All right, whatever. And number C, and C, the letter C, was the fact that the Lakers played a home and home series, just like they do in college football. Last year, Milwaukee agreed to play a home game at Crypto.com Arena against the Lakers. And the Lakers being the home team and all that. So it's called "You Do Me, I Take Care of You" the next year. So again, I wish he would have been told all these things before he went and just blabbered out, "Why the hell am I going to Milwaukee?" on Twitter, Joe. Understand the situation before you make comments like that.
I mean, I got reprimanded a little bit today by one of our esteemed Lakers ball patrons.
You reprimanded?
Yeah, well, it sounded like a reprimand, but again, people can dog me over there, and all. I respect it. I respect it, but LeBron James is. I don't like him, and most of the people that are Laker fans don't. I'm just gonna stick with Laker people. Forget about the other people out there that just find something to hate on someone. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about the people that are actually invested in this. This guy's been a Laker since 2018. He is the Jennifer Lopez of sports. And I've talked to people that have been around Jennifer Lopez. I've talked to bellhops. I've talked to hotel manager type people. They say the same thing about that lady, that she is a freaking devil. She treats everyone like garbage. And I don't know what LeBron does. I mean, we saw that footage of him yelling at that kid, but a lot of times those moments, you get the last bit of a video. Maybe for all we know, he got news that, his dog died or something. I don't know. I'm just making an excuse for him at that point. But this guy is so just dopish. He's such a dope. He just does clown stuff.
It
So
comes off entitled, Joe. Very entitled.
entitlement it's beyond entitlement. It's beyond that. Imagine what this guy does in private. Just imagine. And you already saw what happened this last June. And I'm getting reprimanded by my constituents on Lakers ball. And I have to kind of like I can't argue with someone really online. It's hard. What are you going to sit there and just yell at the computer screen? I prefer to do this. So for those of you who are watching that are on Lakers ball, if you get to watch this or when you watch it, you see what I'm talking about. Because I did call him an entitled narcissist. Entitlement is not even the right word. It doesn't describe him. He's just a dope. He's a clown. That's why him and Jeannie and Rob, that's why all those guys get along. They're all clowns. There was a lot of talk about how LeBron and Kobe and his butt licking mouthpiece, Allie Clifton. She has to the things she say about like he's some kind of a god. It just kind of that's the only that bothers me about her because she does her job really well. But I'm sitting, I'm like, she was being interviewed and like, well, people have asked like, why aren't him and Kobe, why when Kobe was alive, why aren't LeBron and Kobe close? I go, what? You don't know the answer to that? Those guys are two completely different people. Completely. I get along with my neighbors, but we're completely different personalities. One is kind of not really confident and kind of upset at certain things that kind of keep them down. Whereas I'm confident and I'm like, fuck them. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. And we've discussed that before because he said, look, I wish I had more confidence like you do. Well, I go, well, I look at it as I'm a man. I got to be confident. That's my job. I got to be confident and I got to execute. So LeBron, my respect for LeBron is solely on the court. I respect him on the court. He's phenomenal. Beyond that, he's a chump. And he'll always be a chump. And I wish I could say it to his face and say it to Rich Paul's face and Maverick Carter and all those guys. Because I would tell them they're all chumps. Because you guys are just needy chumps. That's all you are. Your money means nothing to me. You're chumps. And they'll get defensive, I'm sure. Or they'll ignore me, or they don't give a damn what the hell I think. I'm nobody to them. And LeBron has how many fans in the world? 40 billion? I don't know. Whatever it is. That's important to people. But in the end, I could make a checklist on why. What's he gonna do? What's he do that? What's he better at me other than basketball? I've heard him talk. I know he can't speak. He barely put two words together. Sounds like a clown when he talks half the time. he yaps and yaps and yaps about social issues, yet he has no idea what the hell he's talking about, which is really 90% of the people out there, anyways. It's not just LeBron James. But the problem is he has a forum. He has a much larger forum, so he has influence. And, I look back at some of the stuff that happened during the bubble. I remember reading about how Udonis Haslem, his former teammate, yelling at him in front of everybody, basically telling him to shut the F up. And they had to get Michael Jordan in there. And Michael Jordan was quoted saying, "Y'all got to stop talking and stop listening." I believe that was the quote. And then that was when they were deciding on whether to continue the tournament, the playoff tournament. And it always is something, guys. It's always something with LeBron. It's always something with this guy. And part of my post that I made, because I got sick and tired of being called a pessimist, and I got tired of people getting called pessimist and negative. This is not negative. This is not being pessimistic. You haven't been listening to me then, if that's what you think it is. Because we were very confident last year and the year before. We were very supportive. But this last June was a complete failure by the front office, by LeBron James, and whatever the hell circus he created, and it's continuing. And we're seeing tidbits of it in preseason. Everyone keeps telling me Max Christie's going to be something. Everyone keeps telling me that, oh, this guy's a project. No. Bronny James is not a project. And he does not belong here. And if it's all about selling tickets, then you're no different than the Arizona Cardinals and the Chicago Bulls and all these asshole owners, cheap owners that want to just keep making money. You have all the money in the world. What more do you want? At what point is it enough? You can't take that money with you. The Boston Celtics just passed us again. You're going to be rich your whole life. What else is that money going to buy you? Especially with the shithole all you have created in that city too, by the way. I was there outside the crypt a few months ago. It looks like Escape from LA. It's starting to look like Escape from LA. And that area was clean for 20 years. Downtown wasn't the place to go before Staples opened. But man, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years in, they started putting LA Live in there. They put the hotel, the Ritz-Carlton, like everything was just like, after a while, like, damn, they really turned this into kind of like a little mini New York over here. And then all of a sudden it went to shit after all the BS from all the leaders in that city and the state. What are they doing to help that? Getting PPP loans? Mr. LeBron, I ain't going to Milwaukee making $50 million a year and you're a basketball player? You too good for Milwaukee, asshole? That's what I would have said to him. What, you too good for Milwaukee, asshole? You can get any Airbnb over there that'll massage your ass from the beginning until the end of the day, before and after the game. What are you complaining about? Not your job, making $50 million a year? You got your son a 3-year contract for yeah.
So the Lakers are flying into Milwaukee to face off tomorrow in preseason action. Again, I'll be on pregame with Stone Hansen. Oh, good to have him back on the show. Good to hear from him. I was worried because I didn't hear from him for a couple days, and then he said, "Oh, I'm back. I will be back on the show on Thursday with you, Gerald. So we'll go ahead and talk basketball and the Lakers before game time. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. I will be in and out of the game personally, as far as on the road during that time. But after the game, Joe and I will be back for post game for Milwaukee and Los Angeles. Your thoughts on what the Lakers in this game that LeBron probably, like you said, he probably will not play because he's already pissed off as is just going there. Even if he does, he's not going to be in the best of moods anyways. What are you looking to see, or what do you think the Lakers should try to accomplish in that game tomorrow?
I would like them to go and try and win the game. Try to simulate a competitive game. And please stop playing Maxwell Lewis. And
Well, they didn't even play Maxwell Lewis in the previous game.
Please don't play him, and don't play Bronny, and don't play any of these scrubs. Try to go win the game. Build that winning attitude. Feed Dalton if you can. He gets pretty good separation. He gets some good height on his shot. Try to create some offense for him because you're going to need him. Try to see if Max Christie can somehow bust a bubble here that he can't seem to get out of. Tell him to get a haircut too. Maybe that might help. The Anthony Davis situation, I think, is already where it needs to be. I think he's primed already, primered from the Olympics. His body's moving pretty well for a guy that's been in the league. What now? This be his 13th season. And then I don't know, man. I would like to see a lineup of Jackson Hayes and AD again. I'd like to see how that materializes. My only worry is during the season, who's going to back up those guys if they decide to use that lineup a lot. I don't know. I think the Lakers really need to do a talent addition somewhere at some point. They're going to have to do it. Austin Reeves, I hope he starts making those threes because it looks like JJ Redick's going to try to match what the Boston Celtics did last year. I think they had like a 26% three-point kind of activity. I forgot what the analytics on that was, but 26%. And in the preseason, I think they were up to 43%. Celtics were 44% last year. I don't know why they keep comparing themselves to Celtics. They don't have Jaylen Brown. They don't have Jason Tatum. And they don't have Drew Holiday playing like a madman and Mr. White with the used to be a bad haircut guy. I don't know. I like winning. I'd like them to go after this win. And if LeBron wants to cry like a little girl, just leave him in LA so he can get it even more entitled than he already is. And I haven't called this punk out yet. I would have called that motherfucker out so early. I would have made news with that shit. But I'm talking shit in some room. But I would. I'm not lying, guys. I'm not trying to be a tough guy. I seriously would have. If that guy threw a tantrum like that and I was involved with the organization, and they probably would have fired me too, by the way, which would have been fine because I could have made a living off that. Yeah, I told LeBron James off. He's a bitch. I would have went and talked to Stephen A. Smith. I would have went and talked to Chris Broussard. I would have went and talked to that piece of shit, whatever his name is, pointy nose Wright, Nick Wright. I would have sat down and told him what a bitch his boy is and what a bitch he is. Oh, man, I would have made good TV doing that shit. Woo! Maybe one day. We'll see. I think the alcohol's kicking in a little bit.
Probably is. JSJ Search, like I said, he's in basically outside of us. He's not modding any other channels, and we're so grateful that he's even taken the time. He doesn't even have to, and he's doing it for us, and we're truly indebted to him for doing so. Although JSJ, I heard a rumor that maybe Search might be going out of retirement just to mod you on whatever YouTube channel you go, just to mod you. JSJ. No, I'm just giving you crap, JSJ. Nothing but love, my friend. Just kidding. You guys are just great being here this late at night. It is the Lakers and the Bucks tomorrow. I'm hoping we'll get some type of definitive game from the Lakers tomorrow, but I'm not counting on it, Joe, because again, they're already miserable going to Milwaukee. I'm just kidding, JSJ. Nothing but love, my friend. I'm worried, Joe, that they're just going to just tank this game tomorrow. They're just going to play the rookies and the kids and then call it a day. And just, we will not find out anything that we need to find out in regards to JJ and how he's able to get going, because we saw some positive signs in that first half against the Suns on the offensive end. Motion offense, the ball was moving, it wasn't stagnant, very little isolation, pick and rolls utilized, cuts to the basket. It was really nice to see that when they scored 69 points in the first half. But the thing is, if you don't have LeBron and AD in there, you can really see the drop off and how that affects JJ's coaching and the way they play basketball for the Lakers.
If they do indeed do that, then it just continues to reiterate what we've been talking about.
This is valuable time for
And
JJ.
all the rhetoric, pardon the pun. It's almost a pun. Rhetoric. All the rhetoric. See, guys, I've been in this planet 46 years, and I've been fortunate enough I was raised by two parents that came from another country. And when you're young and you moved halfway across the planet at a time that wasn't like it is now, okay, the internet wasn't there, and you're going in a plane and you don't know English, and you're establishing yourself in a place that none of your ancestors have ever stepped foot in. Imagine that. 1976, April of 1976, the first of this family put their foot down in a country they've never been in the history of their existence. What does that teach you? It teaches you how to grow up a little bit quicker, right? So they used those things. They weren't educated, and they were very clear on that. That's why they were very high on education. They knew that, hey, Joe, we're going to teach you the streets, but you're also going to learn the books, so that when you get outside and an adult, you're going to have the street smarts and you're going to have the book smarts, and you're going to be twice as deadly. So what I've learned in that time is I have learned to be very observant. And I was also gifted the ability to not feel pain by words, unless if it was from my kids or people that are close to me. But as far as strangers, because you're going to interact in those situations with your strangers better. If your kids are disrespecting you, or your wife or your friends, you did something wrong, and that doesn't that's not happening here. My kids don't disrespect me. My wife and I will have our spats, but it's nothing with malice. It's every day. Why didn't you put this thing up? BS that doesn't do anything. And even those are very rare, because we all take care of our business here. So being observant and seeing the personality of people, and making sure that you don't allow yourself to be manipulated by someone's wealth and someone's look and someone's status, not being mesmerized by that, which is what most of these people do. Most of the people out there that are fanboys and invested in certain people, like I'm never understood of worshiping a person like that. I admired Kobe. I loved Shaq. I loved Magic. Bought their jerseys, wore their gear. But there was never a time in my life where I was sitting there going, what did Kobe do yesterday? What did Magic do yesterday? No, it was all tailored towards the game. And yeah, it's nice to know about his family and what Gigi was doing with basketball and all that. But ultimately, I don't really want to know about that stuff. It's none of my business. I was focused on the basketball. So fast forward to now. Now we Laker fans are in this quagmire, if you will, of trying to figure out how we're going to cheer for an entitled asshole like LeBron James, while he's already sabotaged this team with his bullshit and the allowance of that by management and ownership. And the fact that we're discussing, are these guys going to play hard tomorrow, when they're already talent deficient and they are already going to play a bunch of guys on this team that probably don't belong on the team, is even more comical, because they actually need to compete right now. Max Christie and Dalton Connect And those guys need to play like their lives depend on it. But they don't have that. They don't have that leadership around them. They have an idiot like LeBron James crying about going to Milwaukee. What do you think that you don't think that's going to rub off on these guys? You're not going to. It will. And that's the precedent this guy sets. That's the precedent this guy sets. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep saying it, because guess what, folks? This motherfucker keeps putting gas in the fire. I didn't come on here tonight to talk about LeBron James and his stupidness. He brought it to me. And now I'm commenting on it. Why? Because we're on a Lakers show. Right? I don't want to talk about Bronny James, but everybody wants to talk about him. So I gotta sort of say something. And I gotta say it in a way where I'm not denigrating a kid. Because it's always gonna be interpreted that way, probably by half the audience.
And he is coming from his health scare and all that stuff. But that's even more reason why the Lakers should not have utilized a draft pick on him to allow him. And he should not even come into the NBA in the first place, especially after something that happened so traumatic like what happened last year, Joe.
Yes. It was unprofessional. It's unprofessional. It's clownish. It's a YMCA. It's a YMCA type, or I guess, execution. It's a daycare. It's a Make-A-Wish Foundation. Wish. LeBron James wanted to make a wish happen, and the Lakers allowed it at the detriment of team success in a professional sport of the NBA. When has this ever happened like this? Someone even told me about, how do you say his name? Thanasis?
Yeah, that's what his name's
right?
been repeated. Yeah, his
I
name's
keep hearing this. I'm like, Thanasis is 6'7", folks. He might not be Big Stick McGee, but he can play a little bit. And he's got the size. If LeBron James Jr. was 6'8" and had some form of some kind of athleticism at that height, I'd say, okay, maybe he might be a good role player somewhere. This guy is my height, less than my height. He looks like he's 5'11". He doesn't look 6'1". He can't even get to the basket. At least Scottie Pippen Jr. was trying to get to the basket, and he got to the basket sometimes. Because they keep bringing him up. No, he won't grow, Jay. You don't grow in your 20s. It's very rare after you're 20. I don't know if that was a joke.
21 is when guys wasn't 21 when guys stopped growing?
I think typically I always thought it was 18, 19.
I thought it was 18, 19 for girls and 21 for them. Could be wrong.
Could be. But I stopped growing not too long after high school. I know Robinson grew a foot, I think, when he was 18.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, too, but I think he was a little younger than that.
Jeremy, that's why we can't stop or can't put a ban on Bronny James, because I think, was it Citizen Kane? He said he's sick and tired of getting attacked by brainwashed, delusional fans defending Bronny. There's still so many of them out there. No matter how bad he does, and they're still out there. That's why we can't stop talking about it. The media flashes it every single day. Bronny this, Bronny that, Bronny this, Bronny. We can't just ignore it. We wouldn't be doing this show with the Lakers on the marquee justice if you ignored such a integral cog in the Lakers season, because of the fact it is so much a part of the narrative for this season. Whether we like it or not, Joe, the Bronny James saga, the family, whatever you want to call it, it's just going to be so much a part of the season. It may be such a distraction. I don't know. If he's sent to the G League and then that's all you hear out of him, great. but I have a feeling it's just going to pop up continuously from time to time, no matter what we say, Joe.
I believe it will pop up until it's too late. And the too late is if the Lakers start losing right out of the gate and they end up losing a lot, you're going to start seeing a lot more.
It is a sideshow, Jeremy.
$7,000. You don't need to apologize to me. I'm not your parent.
He was saying that earlier too. Yeah, you're
No. Don't apologize. Don't say any racial garbage.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't say racial garbage. And I don't care what you say on here. Gerald has a different level on that, and I let him do his thing. He lets me do my thing. And then the guys on there, some of you will do your thing. Hey, that's life. Some will ban people, and then we'll sit there and go, hey, look, he didn't say anything wrong. Let's leave a little banter here. I want different voices. I don't want people agreeing with me. I don't want everyone to agree with me. You may agree with me every time because I might be saying the truth, but if you got something else that you can come with, tell me. I want to know what your interpretation is, so that I can see if maybe I'm off a little bit. But I've tried, guys. I've sat back and I've said, all right, LeBron, just do your job, and I'm going to focus on LeBron playing basketball. But then things happen that just infuriate me because it does take away from the game. Today is a perfect example. A bitch whining about playing basketball, and here's your number one guy. It's going to set a shitty precedent for everybody else, and half your team can't even play the way you need them to play. Barely.
But Jeremy said, yeah, he said he has a feeling that we're going to see Bronny. We're not going to see much of Bronny in the G League. He'll spend some time in the G League, but the problem is, Joe, he has a fully guaranteed contract for this year. It's only 1.1 million. And I was talking about it yesterday, how the Lakers will tenfold get much more money in Bronny jersey sales than that. So it's financially to win for them. But because of the fact that he does have a fully guaranteed contract, Joe, he's going to be on the end of that bench for a lot of the games, simply because, remember, the two-way guys can only be there, 40 games or so. So you're going to see Bronny probably a lot more on the bench. He might play like South Bay during the day if they have a day game, and then be at crypto.com on the bench at night. How much action he actually gets, we'll see how JJ plays it out. But I'm hoping
that is a catastrophic decision. He has no business on the bench.
I agree with you, Joe. I'm just telling you.
He will get, oh my God. Could you imagine him trying to guard Jamal? Oh my God. No, there's no way.
7, if you don't pull,
I'm telling you right now, man, if I was the opponent, oh my God, I would be all over that bench. And I'd be looking right at his daddy. I'm like, you better not bring your boy in here. We're going to cook him in front of you. You know, there's a great scene in the movie Troy when, I'm sorry if you guys haven't seen the movie Troy. If you guys want to mute for the spoiler, I'll give you...
Dude, it's a 20-year-old film, man.
Hold on. I'll give you 5 seconds to mute. I'm going to say a spoiler on Troy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a scene where Achilles fights Hector. Hector is the prince of Troy. Achilles is angry that Hector killed his cousin. Now, when you read the Iliad, that's not necessarily true, but for the film, this is what it was. So Hector kills Achilles' cousin because Achilles' cousin dressed like Achilles, and they thought that was Achilles. He ends up killing him, and then Achilles gets angry and then challenges Hector to a fight. So he goes to the gates of Troy and starts yelling for Hector. Hector comes out. They have an epic battle. Achilles wins. Achilles ties Hector's legs to his chariot. As he rides off, his family, his father, his wife, his brother are all watching from the top. And he drags Hector while looking at his family the entire time. That is what these guys should do to LeBron. And they should talk shit too. You brought your boy here and you embarrassed him, and you're going to embarrass him. And I'll tell you right now, that's to me what LeBron deserves, because this is all on him. His boy could have maybe had he has no shot now, but he might have had a little bit of a shot if he had just stayed where he was, built himself up, played 2 or 3 or 4 years in college, and maybe he would have had a shot. Maybe he would have had a shot. Maybe he would have got bigger. Maybe he would have developed some kind of Marcus Smart footwork where he can at least play a little defense and maybe hit an occasional shot. But no, LeBron had to have his fairy tale. LeBron had to be talked about. Oh, I'm playing with my son. It's always all about LeBron. The most self-centered, egotistical, loved with himself player I've ever seen in sports. And this is with us being alive with A-Rod. He clowns even A-Rod, which is unreal, because I thought no one loved himself more than A-Rod.
Eric Bana, just a great actor. Just a great actor. I know Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom, and all that, Joe, but Eric Bana is such an underrated actor.
Well, that was his. I believe that was his best role. I know Munich. There's an argument that was probably his best role.
Star Trek.
Star Trek, sure, but Hector was his best role in my opinion. I don't think he'll ever beat that role. I think
he was really good. He was really a tormented soul in that one.
He was, because he knew that his father. It's kind of like now with the old timers, they're too set in their ways, and he was that leader that was kind of getting to that next phase in life. While these guys are all talking about the God of the sky, the God of the sea, he's just sitting there like, look, man, can we just focus on what's going on right now? Let's not do this. And of course, they never listened, and we all saw what happened. But
well, I will try to catch Chopper, the Australian film. Looking at it now, I have heard of it before because I've followed Eric Bana's career, but I've never had a chance to watch it. But yeah, I definitely give it a shot because I'm trying to go through From now, catching up now on season 2. So catching up to season 3 on that one pretty soon there, Jeremy. So
when you have a minute, Gerald, send me that link. I'm going to post it on Lakers Ball.
For what?
The
For
LeBron
what?
Hat.
The LeBron was mad. That's on his Twitter. Let me go ahead.
Yeah,
and I'll get. All right, I'll send it to you. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at, Joe. Dodgers win. Lakers heading to Milwaukee. NHL season started for those out there.
Yeah, I mean it's the best time of the year in a lot of ways for sports. You almost have all 4 sports kind of intertwined. Unfortunately, it was a terrible night. Sunday. It was probably the worst sports night I ever had. I lost both my fantasy football leagues. I lost again with one of my leagues by like 3 points. And then the Lakers, Dodgers, and Steelers all lost. And Steelers lost in terrible circumstances, and Dodgers lost in terrible circumstances. And the Lakers ended up pissing away a double-digit lead all game long, and and we had to witness, pardon the pun, Junior sabotaged 3 parts of his check-ins, and the worst one being at the end of the game when they were trying to win the game.
Robert De Niro, is he the best actor of all time? Joe Pesci, number 2, according to $7 grand, $199. Thank you again. Truly appreciate the super chat. I'm going to say Daniel Day-Lewis. Robert De Niro is up there to me. He's a top 3. But I'm going to say Daniel Day-Lewis. He has moved me more as an actor than anyone. De Niro at his finest, yes, De Niro is up there. His 80s performances, Raging Bull, Untouchables, a lot of that. Heat in the 90s was still good with him and Pacino still in their acting prime. But yeah, I'm probably going to lean towards Daniel Day-Lewis, but that's just me. Streets of New York is just an awesome movie.
There's an argument there, but it's hard to pick the greatest of all time. And I've actually sat down a few times and I've been mesmerized by Al Pacino and how many characters that guy's known for. Iconic characters. That guy has more iconic characters than any actor on the planet.
Now, let me ask you this, Joe, and they're bringing up a lot of names in the chat, like Denzel. The thing is, I also talk about guys, and that's something you could easily not count Daniel Day-Lewis because he cut his career early because he retired early, became a shoemaker. He's living, I think, Ireland or whatever. While De Niro and some of the other guys on here, Russell Crowe, some of the other guys, Al Pacino, have decided to act well into their later years with mixed results. I'll be generous, Joe, and say mixed results in their later years. Denzel is the only one I could say right now that has a defining career of brilliance from beginning to, well, he might be ending soon. He's talked about retiring soon. So Denzel might be overall number 1 if you look at it from that perspective, Joe.
Daniel Day-Lewis's career was pretty long. I don't know if he really...
But he didn't do a lot. He spaced stuff out. Once he became a successful actor, he didn't go through the Hollywood machine as much as
I don't know if I would say Daniel Day-Lewis is Barry Sanders of acting.
Yeah, that would be a good way to say it.
I keep hearing you hear about how Barry Sanders retired too early. I'm like, retired too early? He was a running back and played 10 years in the NFL.
And a good point, Bloodhound. He is coming back. It's the first movie he's done since 2017, so he will be doing another. I think, like you said, for his son, I believe it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't believe that he's had a career from the early '80s till now. He's coming back again. I don't consider him a short termer. The gentleman who played Fredo, unfortunately, he didn't retire. He passed away from cancer. John Cazale. So John Cazale was in 5 films, and every single one of those films was nominated for Best Picture. And his career was cut short due to cancer.
Yep, good point.
He was actually together with Meryl Streep at the time too.
DiCaprio is also a good choice.
DiCaprio, what would be a good description of DiCaprio? DiCaprio, if I had to attach an athlete to him,
I like the Daniel Day-Lewis Sanders comparison because he got out of full-time acting while he was still at the top of his game.
Who is Leo? Could he be Dan Marino? Could be Dan Marino.
But has he won an Oscar though?
Maybe John Elway. Pretty boy John Elway. Remember the blonde hair in the draft, and then kind of you can't compare it. I'm not comparing the titles like Marino had to win a Super Bowl and DiCaprio. I think John Elway is good because DiCaprio didn't win his Oscar till late in his career.
He is one for the
John
Revenant,
Elway.
by the way.
I'd say DiCaprio is John Elway.
Okay.
I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah,
greatest actor of all time. I'll tell you this. I will say this. The greatest performance that impacted my taste was, I've seen, there's more, but this one for some reason this sticks in my head. And maybe it was because there was an element of surprise and I'd never seen this guy before. But I have not felt acting, the execution of acting in a film the way I did with Christoph Waltz and Inglourious Basterds when I first saw that movie.
There you go. That was chilling. That first opening scene.
The opening scene and all the stuff that was going on there. And then the moment, sorry, folks, again for a spoiler, you know, you all know the routine. When he started speaking Italian to the guys in the theater, I don't remember 99% of my experiences in the theater. I remember exactly what I did the second he started speaking Italian. I just went like this to nobody. I had one friend with me. I'm like, I don't know where I was looking, but I'm just like what the, really? Like, I literally did this. Speaking English, speaking French, speaking German, speaking Italian, funny, scary, normal, talking funny, talking mean, smiling, not smiling, breathing weird, eating. Like, I mean, it was a clinic of clinics of acting. The guy did everything in that movie, from eating to smoking to drinking milk. I mean, it was a clinic. It was a clinic, and it never has ever been topped in my book in terms of in the moment acting. Of course, I look back on, speaking of Russell Crowe, which I hate saying this word because every idiot out there says it to anything these days, but Russell Crowe is extremely underrated. That motherfucker can act. And if you don't believe me, just see the opening of Men of Steel. Matter of fact, if they had stuck with Krypton in that movie, they had done like an origin story for Men of Steel, I would have been content. That opening scene is one of the greatest opening scene performances and one of the greatest opening scenes in any movie I've ever watched. The score, whew, by Hans Zimmer. That's his greatest score ever. And that says a lot considering he had one of the greatest scores ever in the Batman series. I still say Men of Steel was his greatest score. I mean, I've listened to that soundtrack ever since it came out, and I never get tired of it. The best soundtrack I've ever listened to. So yeah, there's and folks, you know, you hear a lot about the Hollywood thing. Everyone's always like, F Hollywood, F this, F that, those pedophile pieces of garbage. And there's a lot of truth to that. Don't get me wrong. But guys, the reason why we love Hollywood, the reason why we love movies and TV is it's those moments where you see someone perform in a way where it feels real. And it's art. Art is a beautiful thing that human beings have created. One of the most beautiful things that humans have ever created is art. And that's what movies are, and that's what TV is.
Joe Pesci, also a great actor. Yes.
Joe is, man, it's a hell of a compliment when you had ex-gangsters. I follow Michael Francis on YouTube. He's the ex-capo for the Colombo family. He's probably the most popular gangster that hasn't been, I guess, killed for talking about the life. And he's made it very clear that there is no actor that's ever encompassed a gangster like Joe Pesci. There's no one close.
So we'll close out our conversation on Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro, and then me, Gerald Glassford, talking about some of the things that I'd like to see finishing off the preseason, and that's the bench. How do we solidify the bench? Last year, Joe, this is something we haven't even talked about much. Nobody on any of these other channels are talking about it either. Is the bench. Everybody's talking about, okay, suspect bench. We've talked about it before, but the overall output last year, Joe, the Lakers had one of the 5 lowest outputs per game from their bench, meaning they counted on their bench less than virtually anyone else in the league. If you're doing the same today, and this year, it might even be worse than last year. So that's a problem, Joe. That's a problem if you're expecting so little out of your bench this season.
There was Austin Reeves playing off the bench last year, and that was due to necessity. There's a possibility of that happening again. Adam.
Remember, D'Lo was demoted to the bench.
He was demoted mainly because of his play.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that he was a certain time of the bench.
Austin was necessity. So I think there is a chance that those guys might not perform and they might need to go to the bench, but there's no one better than them off the bench. But I do think there's a small chance if Dalton Knecht can be lethal from 3, even if his defense is a little suspect, there's a small chance that if the court can open up a little bit because of his threat from the outside, and they're desperate to do it, there is a small chance that they could start him. But he would have to be that anomaly that comes in and says, man, this rookie is really holding his own.
Johnny Depp too. I mean, Johnny Depp's a tough one because at times he's been really great, with his performances. But yeah, he is in recent years been all over the place, Joe.
Johnny Depp. I've seen Johnny Depp when he's focused. Even during that whole court thing with that psycho chick. I think that business does take a toll on those that can't or don't want to deal with the idiocy of it. I think Johnny Depp is one of those guys. But when his head is right, just watch Blow and Donnie Brasco.
Yeah. There's his best work.
Watch those 2 movies. I mean, Blow, just lethal. Absolutely lethal. Great actor. One of the best of our generation, without a doubt.
And the first Pirates of the Caribbean, where he establishes that character.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And I still think he's phenomenal. And I think the industry and all his bad decisions in terms of who he's associated himself with, which tends to happen a lot in that industry, that always sets you back. Movie star, look at Matt Damon. Look at Matt Damon. Matt Damon married a single mother, normal person.
And he just got the gig for the next Jonathan Nolan film today.
Yeah, and Matt Damon, something switched Matt Damon about a decade ago. He was kind of involved with a lot of the politics of stuff, the typical liberal Hollywood crap. And then all of a sudden you stopped hearing him. That's why Team America made fun of him back then, because he was part of that clique. But smartly, he jettisoned himself out of that little clique. He's still friends with those guys. They still hang out. He's still friends with Ben Affleck.
He still does movies with Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Again, nothing changes, folks. Just because you disagree religiously or politically with your friends doesn't mean they're not going to be your friends, right? At least that's how it works with me. I've had a friend since 8th grade who despises Catholicism, despises it, shits on it at every moment, hates the Pope. He's been my best friend since I was 14. I'm 46. Some things just people don't like. Me, I don't like drugs. And that's what he does. You know what I mean? So it's like, we have to all, if you're around people that you have to, if everybody agrees with everything, what is that? What kind of life is that where you can't get called out by your friends or get made fun of or what the hell you doing? That's not a friendship. That's not normal settings. No, you get caught up in that clicky type stuff where everybody agrees with everybody and everybody grab asses. No, not gonna happen. No.
Before we head out, thank you again for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. $7,000. Again, all is good, my friend. We just last night was last night. We move on. Joe, Dodgers winning the series. Bullpen out, ace.
I don't think they can risk putting Yamamoto in against the Padres Friday. They have to have at the very least, start with a relief pitcher in the first inning. Someone that can mow the first 3 batters down so that they're not behind in the first inning. And then you can start Yamamoto after that if you want. I think that would be the smart move. You win this game Friday. Yes, the Mets are a formidable opponent. There's a lot of momentum there. But I thought before anything started that the best 2 baseball teams on the planet were the Padres and the Dodgers. They just so happened to play in the first series. That's not a wild card.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that if the Dodgers get through this, they'll have the mindset to go all the way. I think that would be the kick. They got to win Friday, obviously. They don't win Friday, it's not going to be good. There's going to be people that are going to likely be gone. I'm very, very, very curious on Ohtani right now has played good. He had an RBI today. Anytime you have somebody that's in scoring position, the last 17 times he's gotten 15 hits. If there's runners on the base through the first lineup for Ohtani in Dodger Stadium, I think he's well overdue for a home run right now. And man, if he hits a home run in this game, it will catapult them, especially if there's men on base. Yeah, yes, Gerald. My favorite movie of the 21st century is No Country for Old Men. That's bar none my favorite movie, number 1 for the 21st century. I can watch that movie and never get tired of it.
Are you predicting a bullpen game again?
I think Doc might do it. He hinted at it during the press conference. I think he should at least have an opener and then pitch Yamamoto in the second inning. I think that's the way I would go. You save Yamamoto from having a bad first inning, and you give the Dodgers a chance to not have to be behind right out of the gate.
What a great show tonight. What a great nightcap. And Joe is always in a good mood after the Dodgers win 8-0. Lakers tomorrow, or later today, actually, playing against Milwaukee. Pre-game is with Stone Hansen at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. The game is at 5 and 8. It'll be on playback.tv, South Lakers Fast Break as far as the chat's concerned. Again, I will be in and out, so I want to apologize in advance. Just got to go on the road during that time. But Joe and I will be back for the post game afterwards. What, about 7:30-ish? 7:45-ish, just before 8. Joe and I will be back for the post game. So yeah, absolutely. Yes, Stone Hansen returns to the show. I am excited. It was great to hear from him again. I know he's been busy doing a lot of stuff off the air. So yeah, definitely looking forward to catching up with his thoughts and seeing how many people like Joe he can piss off with his thoughts on the Lakers. It seems like you and Stone just like ignite more, I guess, just random, just anger amongst some of the just, either random people or our regulars as well.
Yeah, it's no different than being truthful in life. Most people don't want to hear the truth. They just don't. The fallacy that people do is that no, there's too much fantasy land in the world for me to ever believe that people really want the truth. People want to be lied to. They want to feel and believe in things. Couldn't escape without having that happen in the show, could we?
No, no.
So it's not my middle name is Danger, Citizen Kane. Danger's my middle name. The truth has nothing to do with me. I'm just telling you. Do you understand the difference? And I'm asking everybody out there. So if I tell you that Max Christie, based off of 2 seasons and 2 preseason games, has shown nothing, it's not me saying he hasn't done anything. He's done nothing. Why am I going to believe he's going to do anything? What's the definition of doing nothing? The definition of doing nothing is there's been no impact when he plays basketball. When he's gone in there. There isn't one memorable game in 2 years. Most people that are getting paid what he just got paid and are going to be rotational players have had a game. Hell, Lonnie Walker had a game in the playoffs that won the Lakers a game. What is this guy? What has he done to earn this? What has half the people that are coming off the bench earned? Very few. Most of them haven't earned anything. So now, what's going to happen when in December and January you find out that Max Christie's out of the line, out of the rotation because he's just not doing it? What are you going to say then? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to be quiet and you'll act like it didn't happen. And I'm not going to sit here and say, I told you so, and point fingers at people. All it does is it just keeps building my credibility. And it's all based off of what's presented to us. It's nothing to do with me going and searching and creating bullshit. Why would I do that? I want this team to win. And the reason why I'm angry is because they're not showing that they want to win. They've done nothing to give us any reason that they're dedicated to winning. Their main leader today on his Twitter, which Twitter is a toilet, by the way. I hate Twitter. And I'll always hate it. You have your number one guy crying like a bitch about doing his job. And you want everyone else on this team to do it? And you're going to keep making excuses for this dumb shit? I don't care how many points he scores. I don't care how long he plays in the NBA. Phenomenal basketball player, but a fucking chump. And he'll always be a chump. And I wish to say it to him in his face one day. We'll see. And I'd like to have his boys with him too.
Well, on that note, my friend, what a great evening. And at 7 grand, thank you again for the super chat. He's talking about the best horror movie out there.
Shoot, the Terrifier right now is getting a lot of pub.
Yeah, Terrifier 3 could actually
People are
win the
leaving
box
the theater. I'm like, yep, that's how you make a horror film.
I wonder how much was actually, because the first one was made on, I think this show costs more than what the first one was made. And he keeps asking for larger and larger budgets. So, but the first week returns, it actually could end up beating or being number one at the box office this weekend, which would be crazy. Absolutely crazy, because Joker Folie à Deux, unfortunately, is stinky poo.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. That industry, the bad part about that industry is they get a hit, and all of a sudden the people that get the hit start getting the perks of it and then end up sabotaging themselves. You have Christopher Nolan, who's probably the number one director right now in the industry in terms of being in his prime. Still, he's not going to make every movie's not going to be a hit. Tenet wasn't a good movie. I think that had a lot to do.
I liked it.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it
It's
wasn't.
too long.
It wasn't a Christopher Nolan type film, and a lot of that could come from maybe a favor that he did for the studios. Hey, can you do this? Can we put Denzel's son in there? Because we want to do the X, Y, and Z.
He is good. He is
I
good.
don't think he's good.
I think he's really good.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Disagree with you there. I just put corrupt, by the way. Yes. There.
Yeah, we're absolutely aghast at how great of a response we've gotten already. We are just a couple campaigns away from blowing this out. We're doing everything we can. We're doing everything we can right now to get one last push in terms of resources so that we can get this thing out by the holidays. But thank everyone who supported it. Those of you who have been playing it, my God, we've just been getting nothing but positive stuff. There's a few of the normal types that have been, the normal negative stuff, but that's more geared towards. That's geared more towards the fact that they don't like the aesthetic.
Joe, would you go
watch Freddy versus Jason 2? Probably not in the theater, but I'd watch it at home.
In space or on Earth?
I'd say my favorite Friday the 13th. Which one was it? The girl had a telepathic ability. Was it number 7? It was 7. Manhattan wasn't bad either. Thought Manhattan was kind of funny.
I like the part where the gang's called come up. They're terribly acted gang, but they come up and like so over the top, Cordy.
Thanks, Juan. I appreciate it, brother. We're very excited, man. We're very excited. This thing is going to. The second the light gets fired up on this one, man, it's going to be a 30-year run. That's what we're banking on here, man. I'm very, very excited. The developers are very scared of being rejected. That's what happens a lot in the artist world. Rejection is all you get in this business. But once you kind of sack up and just roll with it, and they got a ridiculous response, and it's going to be nothing but positive confidence for them, and they're going to continue to keep rolling until this thing is big. And we had a quote on YouTube from one of our comments. I don't know who it was either. Here, I'll bring it up real quick. And I was extremely encouraged at what he said here, because it's exactly what we thought. Where are we at? There we go. So the quote was, actually putting my hands on the game made such a difference on my impression. This was written yesterday. This can be something really special. Killer Instinct on steroids, maybe, Gerald?
Maybe.
And I say steroids because we're a relentless group. We're going to be really good at marketing this thing. That's the difference between these developers, us, and the normal developer, who's usually a shut-in or kind of an introvert. Granted, Jesse, the main developer, is known to be a little, aloof. But when he turns it on, he's very charismatic. He speaks very well with a lot of confidence, and knows the industry and knows games like we know the Lakers. And that's not usually the point. That's not usually the setup. And of course, the business types, me, I sit back and I'm the support system there. And I basically kind of guide as best I can about how to and smell BS that might be thrown our way. And of course, having a good lawyer is paramount.
Big shout out to Skechers on Twitch. Skechers 2 Broke is now following us on Twitch. Truly appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, folks.
And all from Search and ourselves, thanks for everyone for being so good to each other in the chat tonight.
And that one, that's exactly what we've been at. That comes up all the time. There's always a Marvel versus Cap. Is that me?
I think it's you. This one. I know one of them was me, but the last two I didn't even have my hands.
I think I got to get a new router, man. I think this router is busted. We've been getting a lot of Marvel versus Capcom meets Killer Instinct comparisons. So dead on. Let's see if we can give them. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about this is there's a story, guys. There's a universe behind this. There's a story that's going to resonate not only in the video game world, but possibly animated series, TV series. We have a comic book out. We have comic books out. The story's out. You're gonna be able to get invested in the story, because in the end, folks, what makes everything go around is the story. People love the stories, and we're gonna make sure people get the story. And with that, I want to thank again everyone for being here. Search, thank you for being a dedicated mod. 7 Grand, Xbox, Citizen Kane, our new guys that have subscribed, Darren, Juan, Bloodhound.
7 says DC not included.
What do you mean?
For the comics, I guess.
No, this is nothing related to Marvel or DC, at least right now. Love you too, Search. Thank you.
Yes,
absolutely. We might get there if DC decides that they want to do some work. I don't know. We've discussed that in the past, but we don't know. But again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I hope I didn't kind of Debbie Downer this. I wasn't expected to come and talk about LeBron James. Gerald kind of threw that curveball our way, and I hope I hit it out of the park. All hail the Dodgers. Very proud of them tonight. Proud of Doc, Dave Roberts tonight. I believe after all these years of watching him manage, this might have been his masterpiece. And
this is the most he has ever complimented Dave Roberts on this show.
And this was if the Dodgers go all the way and win it all, it will be because of tonight's performance that catapulted it, and he will be in the good graces of everyone probably for the rest of his career, because this tonight was, in the past, the Dodgers lose this game. They always lose these games. And not only did they not lose, they absolutely destroyed. Not only did they destroy, but they also destroyed in an hostile environment. It reminded me a lot of Kobe killing Denver in Game 6 in 2009, Kobe killing Phoenix, Lakers and Kobe in Phoenix in 2010. That's what we're used to, folks. We're used to that kind of performance by great teams and great talent. We saw it tonight. And until tomorrow night, folks, I'm gonna be able to be likely, and I'm pretty 95% sure I'll be involved with the playback tomorrow for the entire time. We'll be doing post game after that. Stone will be here with us finally. We'll have some good times. Hopefully the Lakers win, or at least try to attempt to win. And until then, thank you again. Have a great night. And until next time, we'll see you next time.